Okay, I think we're recording. So today is April 1st, 2017, and we're going to talk about the transits today. So, or for this whole entire month. And, you know, there's so much bubbly energy. It's just absolutely incredible. And I think you can feel it out there in the world. Well, what's happening collectively in the world is a really big time, especially if you're a Libra, if you're an Aries, if you're a Taurus. Almost every sign is deeply affected right now. So what we're going to do is first I want to show you, let's see if I can do this. I want to show you the chart. Hold on. Here we go. I hope you can see this. So here is today's date. Hang on. Here's today's date, April 1st, 2017. You can see the moon right here is in Gemini, and you can see the sun is in Aries, and that's a happy placement. You can also see Venus right here still in retrograde, and it opposes, the sun is opposing Jupiter, and it is in difficult aspect to Pluto. Look at that. Jupiter has an exact square to Pluto. 19 degrees Capricorn, 19 degrees Libra. So if you're a Libra or an Aries, you are feeling this Plutonian square. And we're going to talk about what that means. But I wanted to show you this chart. Now, all of our natal charts are going to look something like this. So at the end, if you want me to show you, pull up your chart and show you where your moon is and your sun and your rising sign. This is the rising sign right here. I can do that. So let's talk about the energy. So I want you to get out your piece of paper and your pencil and write these down. We're going to skip around a little bit. We're not going to just go through the days in consecutive order, because I kind of want to do the very most interesting day of the month first. So let's go for that. Hold on. I'm like driving my spaceship here. Hang on one second. Hopefully you guys can see me. So the best day first, April 10th at 11:07 p.m. Pacific time, so calculate that in your own time zone. It is a really magical night. Now, this night is our full moon, and it's a magical full moon. And if you know me, you know that I don't usually like full moons, but it's got a little blessing. It's got a little bit of a twist to it. It's in Libra, and it's got Jupiter, the planet of the good luck planet, the planet of expansion, is right smack next to it. So the moon and Jupiter, of course, it's more like this, right? Because Jupiter is really far away from the moon. But we just say next to, because they're in alignment with one another. It means it has an unusual happiness factor attached to this full moon. And if you have anything between 21 and 22 degrees, especially in Libra or in Aries, this is a very profound moment in time for you. So this is a time for justice. This is a time for equality in your life. This is a day of a very big breakthrough. A breakthrough will illuminate your life. It's a big day, a lucky day, and it can become a best day for anybody. But you're especially going to feel this if you are a Libra, Libra rising, or a Libra moon, which I am. And can you believe this? My moon sits at 22 degrees. So it's an enormous day of opportunity. And you know, I don't like full moons because usually they represent loss. But this is kind of also representing loss, and it can be an emotional time, and it can be about losing something that you need to let go of, and perhaps it will even hurt. But then it offers you a newfound freedom, a newfound fairness, a newfound justice. There is a silver lining attached to this full moon, and that's why I think this moon has a real blessing inside of it. Very rarely do we get Jupiter next to the moon. And so when we do, I like to embrace it. So you might feel like this is a blessing in disguise. You might finally get to make up life on your own terms, and you may feel like you just simply don't want to jeopardize your life by living on someone else's terms anymore. So you sort of slough off or exfoliate the pieces in your life that could bring up emotions for you. Something very deep and profound needs to be gone in order to allow a new happiness, a new freedom, a new glee and joy. You know, Jupiter sitting there makes this full moon optimistic, makes this full moon feel like whatever I'm letting go of, it's for my better, higher self. So if you are a Libra, this is an emotional blessing. This is a shedding of something that is not intended for your highest self. So if you have Libra rising, you're going to have this moon in your first house of self. So it's just critical for your identity. If you have a Libra moon, you're going to feel this impactful emotional connection in the world somehow. I don't know how it's going to show up, and it kind of depends where it's at in your chart too. And but I think this moon is going to really radiate a good luck light onto your life. Now, air signs, Gemini, Aquarius, and fire signs, Sag and Leo, are also going to feel this moon positively. If you're a water sign or an earth sign, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, or Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo, you might struggle a little bit more. You might feel like this is a little bit harder moon for you. It still has a blessing inside of it. It's not as dark as some of the other full moons, but you might, it's sort of like you're going to rip off a Band-Aid. So go gently, rip it off slowly, and be gentle with yourself. But this is my favorite day of the month, including the new moon. I like this full moon. This is the only full moon I like better than the new moon. And we have a really great new moon this month too. But I love this full moon night. It's going to be magical. So hopefully, I'm going to be in Phoenix. So I am seeing this full moon because, you know, in Phoenix, they have beautiful, beautiful clear skies at night. And I'm going to be out of the Seattle rain. So I can't wait to see what it looks like. Now let's move through April a little bit. You know, on April 4th, well, let me say this. In April, 4 planets are changing their direction. 4 planets. So it's going to feel really like you're shifting courses. And you're going to see this in the world. You are going to see an about face in the world. I don't know if it's in the political scene, if it's just in the collective, but there is going to be a 180. And it's going to happen in April. And probably in your personal life too. So Saturn, Mercury, Venus, and Pluto are all changing directions. And so you're going to feel like there's a change in course. You might change your mind, you might change your desires, you might feel like life is giving you an about face or a 180. So you might be going down one course and then poof, you're asked to consider something altogether different. You also, the lesson is to learn to be flexible and bendable and let kind of flow where life wants to take you. Don't resist too much. Be open to a new opportunity. It might be a better place to go. It might be helpful to consider a new direction. It might be helpful to get to change lanes and go down a different pathway. It also might be that projects or people in your life or your love life comes to an absolute screeching halt, and for no good reason at all. Like just you're going down, everything's great, and boom, you're up against a wall. It might feel that way. And what I say is don't force it through. Just let it go. It will return. It will. And I just kind of say, let it disappear and detach and surrender and let that the answers will be revealed to you in time. And I do believe if it's a relationship or if it's a work project or if it's something about your house or your children, just sort of let it go and let it dissipate because it will return. Now, let's talk about Saturn. Saturn is the karmic planet that rules rules and regulations. And it goes retrograde again on April 6th. And it's going to go from 28 degrees Sagittarius. Do you have anything in Sagittarius? And do you have anything at the 28th degree anywhere in your chart? So 28 degrees Sagittarius, and it's going to go backwards all the way to 21 degrees Sag. And then that's going to happen between April 6th, 28 degrees Sag, and it's going to go all the way back to 21 degrees Sagittarius by August 25th. So it creeps at a really deep level. And the more it goes, it's sort of like the more deeply impactful it can be. So it takes a long time. Saturn takes a long time to travel. You know, Mercury goes retrograde. Mercury's super fast. Saturn is so slow. So when it touches a planet in your chart, and if you have anything between those degrees in Sagittarius, or if you're a Gemini, because that's an opposition, or a Leo or an Aries, and all the planets to be, I mean, all the signs, to be quite honest with you, if you have anything at 28 degrees, that Saturn is going to connect into you. And then it's going to, you know, for me, it's going to cross over my Venus. So it's very interesting when this happens. I like to be awake to it. I don't like to be blindsided. So I can keep my finger on the pulse, and I can kind of know that my self-worth, my self-esteem, maybe my money even, the things that I value in life are going to be tested. So I want to stay wise, and I want you to stay wise too. So this is a time for you to be very sober and conscientious and not reckless in your life. So between April 6th and 28th with Saturn retrograding, it's a universal message to not cave into your belief system. This is about being patient with yourself and also living out your conscience and seeking your deepest truth. Be immovable in your core around what you believe in. Do not be manipulated to believe somebody else in somebody else's belief system or buy into a false belief system. Check out the planets that you do have in Sagittarius. If your moon is there, it's going to be kind of an emotional time to take emotional stock in yourself and make smart, wise, emotional decisions. Saturn builds walls. It is very protective. And it is also the planet of oppression and suppression and repression. So it can come, whatever it touches, it can create sort of a dull ache, like a bruise. It doesn't feel like a knife, it just feels tender, like a bruise. And it can bring some discouragement and even feeling of dissatisfaction. So knowing that, I plug into things that give me an extra dose of happiness, an extra dose of optimism. And then I say to myself, this is not permanent. This is just asking me to step it up in my life a little bit. And be aware of those who try to manipulate you by suppressing you and by teaching you, maybe teaching you in ways that are too headstrong, too hard-headed, and people or things that try to hold you back. For example, if you're in a job that is not paying you fairly, this is the time to wise up and get out and get yourself into a job that you're worthy of. Or if you're in a relationship that is trying to oppress you or stifle you or teach you that you're wrong, when you know in your heart of hearts that you're not, get the hell out of that relationship. This is a time for you to stay true to yourself and declare yourself. So if you're in a relationship with a child, say, who is being combative or unappreciative of you, this is a time for you to stand up and demand that you be respected. So this is a time for you to take a stance about yourself, politically, emotionally, your self-worth, what you value. And it's critical that you do so, because if you don't do so, you're setting the tone for when Saturn goes direct in August. So make the investment, make the wise investment in yourself yourself right now. So when Saturn goes direct, you just take off. On April 8th, there's an important transit. Now, Venus is retrograding. As you remember, we talked a lot about this in my last webinar last month. And it's going to continue in retrograde until the 15th of April. That's tax day, you can remember. So, but on the 8th, it's at the 29th degree. And those of you who've had readings with me probably know that I don't love the 29th degree. It's a crisis degree. I especially don't like it in transit. I don't like it in progressions. If you have it natally, it's a little bit easier to deal with. But it's a crisis degree. Got to take a sip out of my Aries cup. Being bold and adventurous. Aries asks us, when the sun is in Aries, it asks us to be adventurous and bold and tapped into our life force energy, our sexuality. It's spring after all, right? And be dynamic. So here we go. It's just coffee. Extra strong, right? Have to have extra strong. Forgive me. I'll have no voice if I don't sip. So this is what I want to say. On April 8th, Venus is at 29 degrees and it's retrograding in Pisces, and it's square to that Saturn in Sagittarius, which is also retrograding. And, you know, as I just mentioned, and I've seen the 29th degree play out in a lot of the readings I've done. I've done 85,000 readings. And some astrologers don't, you know, believe that the 29th degree is a very big deal. I do. And I don't know, maybe I get clients where it's just pertinent, but this moment on April 8th, I want you to do something so sweet for yourself. I want you to bask in love, because this is a time that we can really feel worthless, or like life is not on our terms. We can feel jilted, stifled. We can feel stuck. We can feel like, why is my marriage dead? Why is my love life dead? We can feel just so lonely, alone, and not worthy of the life or the love that we dream of. And it's just not true. And this will pass. This transit's going to pass pretty quickly. But so I want you to counter that by creating anyone that truly knows how to love you. God, it could be your cat, it could be your dog, it could be your child, your sister, your brother, your neighbor, your lover, your best girlfriend. Find somebody and hang out with somebody, just connect with somebody that day that truly loves you deeply and can remind you that you are of worth, you are of value. Do something meaningful and of value with yourself that day. Cheer somebody else up, because everybody has this transit. And so what do you value in life? And let go of anything on this day. Let go of anything that is mean, cruel, rude, oppressive, suppressive, angry in your life. Anything. If there's a color, if your house is painted in drab colors and it's depressing you, that's the day to paint it. Paint it bright. And metaphorically and literally, paint your life bright that day, because that's a crisis love day. So for me, I truly think this is going to be a clean out my closet and purge. I'm going to throw away all the things that in my closet that I just don't value anymore. So this is an opportunity to create deeper values and create the kind of truth and the kind of love that you duly desire, and do not cave. Kind of spoil yourself on that day. Self-love. Go get a manicure, get a massage, book your massage at Salish Lodge or whatever your special place is. I also want you to mark your calendars on the 9th. So we've got these transits that are like boom, boom, boom. This is the day Mercury goes retrograde. And if you want to know, it's at 5 degrees Taurus. So, and it goes all the way back to 24 degrees Aries. So let's talk about this. You know, you may need to sell your home. You may need to interview for a new job. You may need to buy a new car. Okay. The only thing, you may need to have surgery. I get it. And okay, if you have to, I understand. If you don't have to, don't do it. But if you do, you know, those things can be, you have to take a trip, you know, those things can be checked and double checked, and you can give yourself more time to get to the airport, and you can read the documents twice. But the one thing I don't want you to do is meet a new romantic partner for the very first time. If you already met, great. But if you're dating and you have a first date planned for, you know, between April 9th and May 3rd, I just want you to wait. Just meet them on Cinco de Mayo for a margarita instead. It's just not going to work. I just want to tell you, it won't launch. It won't take off. It will feel like it did, and then they never call again. It's not going to stick. And I know a lot of people say, gosh, Meredith, you're so fatalistic. Well, I'm not really. I've just seen it. I just know. If you build your relationship inside Mercury in retrograde, it might stick, but there is going to be something terribly wrong with it. It just is not good timing. And why not just wait 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks to get a great date? Because that is the birth chart of your relationship. The minute you meet, that is the birth chart. So there's you, there's them, and then there's the relationship. And the relationship has a birth chart too. So for example, if you're opening up your own company, I do not recommend you do it because that's a relationship. I don't recommend you do it in Mercury in retrograde. Can you just wait? So there's me, there's my Soul Navigation Incorporated, right? And then there is the melding, the merging of the two of us. So am I going to go down and get a business license in Mercury in retrograde? No, because that's going to be the birth chart of my company. I don't want to do that. I want to wait till Cinco de Mayo. So, you know, this is a time when Mercury's in retrograde to rework, rethink, and reevaluate something that is so important to you. So this is a time to do your research. And I think that this Mercury in retrograde is going to be a little bit more about a work. It's going to affect your work a little bit more than it's going to affect your emotional investment in life. I think those moons are going to be a little bit more about your love life and the Venus, and this is going to be a little bit more annoying with work. Computers break down, cell phones break, they crack. You might need to get a new one. My phone is so on the fritz, I can barely talk on it. I'm pretty sure inside Mercury to put. So I prepare for that. Your computer might need to be replaced. You know, it's annoyances like that. So with both Saturn and Mercury in retrograde, we're going to feel like work is a little bit harder to push through. And it's going to take more stamina, more grit, more tenacity, more force. And we're in Aries energy, so we get a boost from the sun. So I like that. And it's okay, though, because you just have to do a little extra work. It's like you might not lose that weight with just 10,000 Fitbit steps. You might need to do 12,000. You know, and that's okay if you know it, right? If you don't know it, it's frustrating because you're doing the gosh darn 10,000 steps and your scale isn't moving. And you didn't realize, wow, I actually have to do 12,000 steps to eliminate those calories. So that's what this is like. But I want you to feel proud of yourself. Because when you take pride in yourself, it's easier to do more work. Be proud of who you are and work your program with great pride. So I'm going to take my own advice, and as long as we know about it, we can prepare and we can harness our energy and psychologically create more stamina in our mind for the long haul. It's like a marathon, right? It's not a 5K, it's actually a marathon that we're running. So we're going to treat it differently. Now, at this time, we talked a little bit about the but it's going to be here again until April 15th. Now, I want to just take another tiny look at it because it started at 0 degrees Aries and it went all the way back to 26 degrees Pisces. And I want you to check your planets if you are a Pisces, or if you have a Pisces moon. That Venus in retrograde is crossing over it. So on the 15th, the planet of self-worth and love and security and money and everything comfortable in your life finally springs forward. And you may feel on the 15th, believe it or not, this sweetness flooding back into your life. And it might feel like the love gates are opening and it just floods you. So this is a time when relationships can be healed. So if you're struggling in a relationship, it may take you a couple weeks, 2 weeks, of reflecting and researching and learning about what can I do to make it better. And then on the 15th, it's really a great time when relationships have a chance to really heal. And this is a time when you can reach deeper understanding within yourself and within a relationship. So it's a magical time. So for the entire month of April, we have this really dynamic Jupiter in Libra opposing Uranus, and it squares Pluto. So what does that mean? What does that mean for you, and what does that mean for the world? The world's kind of in crisis right now. Don't know if you've noticed, but it's been in crisis for a while, and this is a big, long transit. So what this means for you on a personal level is do not settle for status quo. Create your own future as you believe in it. You know, it's sort of like take the world into the palm of your hands and demand of it that it will play on your terms. Remember that free will trumps fate, and this is an aspect of ego and learning to not let others control us or tell us what to do. We can see this through the constant protests and the constant uprising, you know, in the world. Collectively, this is a time when the people's voice wants desperately to be heard, and it wants to become more powerful than the governing bodies that want them to believe that they are in control of us. That's why we're having these outbursts. It's like, we will not be controlled, but that's happening in your own life too. So this is a time to get life on your own terms. And you might need to dial into your ego a little bit to take a stance. So the last thing I want to talk about is mark your calendars for this gorgeous, gorgeous new moon in Taurus on the 26th of April. Now, this is about create creature comforts in your life. So plan your vacation, splurge on a candlelight dinner. You know, this is a feel-good moon. This